to HGTV for the takeover. Everybody wants to say makeover, but it was called takeover here downtown. We were ably assisted by Chuck Almarez with his very talented video skills. Martha Atherholt served as the narrator, and you will see her. We're expecting that she'll get a call from Hollywood just any time. And Gail Hillard and Martha Atherholt also helped to prepare the script. The video is just one piece of the application process. We had to submit 5 photographs as well as a written narrative about the town itself. And you all are seeing this video for the first time. And once it is shown here, we will be putting it on YouTube and on the HGTV website for all to see. We're very, very proud of it. And I hope that you will be equally proud when you see how we have captured the essence of the town of Clifton Forge. Lights. Action.
Hello HGTV, my name is Martha and I want to welcome you to Clifton Forge, Virginia. This is my hometown. Clifton Forge is a beautiful small town nestled in the Allegheny Highlands of the western part of the state of Virginia. We are on the banks of the Jackson River here, and we are a small train town that are ready for a hometown takeover. We look forward to working with you here in Clifton Forge. Let me tell you a little bit about Clifton Forge. First of all, this is a town of under 4,000 people. So bustling as it may seem, we actually are very tiny in the small town realm of things. But we have a lot of activities going on, and we have a very strong volunteer presence in that. We have a very devoted group of people who are interested in bringing this town back to the glory that it once was in the past. I'm standing right here in front of Jack Mason's Tavern, which is here in town, and I am known locally as the pub owner. Myself and my business partner came here 10 years ago, bought an old hardware store, and thought of, originally of trying to get into some kind of commercial real estate here because we literally just fell in love with the town. What we soon realized when we arrived is that this town was needing a meeting place, a community base with which to expand and grow Main Street and the businesses around here. So we turned in and said, what do we need? And basically we figured out this town needed a tavern. It is now 10 years later, and the tavern has turned into that community meeting spot. And given any evening, it is a warm and welcome place for all to gather to discuss business, to discuss the town, whatever happens to be going on in this part of our little world. Here we are 10 years later. The tavern is thriving and the town is definitely enjoying a renaissance of sorts. 7 years into the tavern, we were able to open a brewery. So we even have a brewery here in our little slice of heaven. As we've continued to progress here in Clifton Forge, you can go from one block to another and see difficult transitions, if none at all. With the tavern building here, then if you pan over here, we have an old laundromat building that unfortunately has seen the better days in the past and is in a state of disrepair. A lot of building owners here have packed up and gone away, or simply haven't taken the time or the interest in bringing their buildings back to what they could be and should be on a main street in a small town. Across the street is another example of a building that has the potential to be absolutely beautiful. Painted not long ago, but simply just unkept. As I said, we've been in a renaissance for about the last 10 years here, and some of the newer businesses that have come to town are coffee shops, restaurants. Not only do we have gathering places like the tavern, but we have Café Michel with fine French cuisine. We have a deli across the street that people can enjoy food at. Further on up, we have the club car and other restaurants, and we've definitely been able to capitalize on that. But as you can see, right down the street from that, there's 4 more buildings that just need help. As we continue to go up the street, we're walking past a new market which is going to specialize in local beef and organic foods and things like that. But once again, if you take a look next door, that's what we have. So another example of how we're going building to building in this town, trying to make a dent in what needs to be done to bring these all back to their original glory, but not quite there yet. Back in the 1980s, a great number of jobs left our area because of the departure of the railroad shops here. C&O and now CSX Railway is a major employer here in our area, and with the loss of those shops, a great deal of jobs went over out of state, and thus people followed. So since the 80s, there's been a decline in population, in jobs growth, retention of youth, quite frankly, and a lot of pride. And there's a few businesses here on Main Street that have stuck with us, and so I would be remiss if I didn't call attention to things like the Allegheny Highlands Arts and Crafts Center that's been here for over 30 years on the Main Street here in the same location, has provided both an outlet for artists in the area as well as education for youth and adult alike. Another one of the businesses that has been a staple on Main Street of Clifton Forge is the hardware store. In this day and age, everybody has a Home Depot or a Lowe's or one of those big box stores. Clifton Forge has chosen to support our local hardware store, which takes up 6 different buildings on our Main Street. When they recently repainted, they opted, instead of going with an all single paint job theme, they opted to try to keep the original paint jobs of the buildings that were there when they first were built. As we pan across the street, this is a section of the street which is another result of some of our Main Street initiatives. They're often going around incentivizing business owners and building owners to dress up their Main Street windows, change out displays, keep current and representing their businesses neat and tidy with different displays of that sort. So that's another way that Main Street has definitely helped with the visual of our town. Another fantastic local asset we have here in Clifton Forge is Dabney S. Lancaster Community College. They are instrumental in developing the needs of the community as far as educational needs for future businesses, either on the railroad or with the mill and things like that. Another topic of interest for them that they've recently started is business development, business education, and a program called the Gauntlet. And with the Gauntlet, it's a series, educational series that they take on potential business owners, teach them how to write a business plan, come up with funding, basically take an idea to a storefront. And Lolly's Quilt Shop is just one of the results of that right here on Main Street. One of the things that'll catch your eye as you head further up the street and out of the main downtown area is this large painted flag on the side of the building, which each year, just prior to the 4th of July celebration, there's names of sponsors that sponsor a star or a stripe in honor of people that they know that have either served or passed away or in some way they want to honor during that holiday. Clifton Forge Main Street and area volunteers put on a 4th of July parade, fireworks and such down here at our Heritage Museum, and it's a real festive time and very Rockwellian scene here in the small town. As we wander off the Main Street or the 2-block downtown area of our Main Street, we come upon a building that just in the last few years has been inherited by a young man here, completely rehabbed, and now has 3 small businesses to add to our Main Street. Rehab, maintenance, and upkeep of buildings like this is what we want to see in Clifton Forge. People that own businesses and buildings taking an active role in making sure that our downtown looks the best it can be and offering places for small businesses to call home. Just a few hundred yards off of that bustling 2-block area of Main Street, we come to sections like this, right across from Town Hall, right across from our Heritage Center, and yet here we see these buildings that have just been left to rot, quite frankly. I mean, I don't know what more to say except I would love to perhaps get y'all here to help us out a little bit. I'm sure you have the vision, as I do, of the potential of what we have sitting here, and I feel like if we wait many more years, these buildings won't be rehabable or habitable in any way for businesses, and hopefully for housing upstairs. That's another thing that we desperately need is good housing in this area. And the potential sits right there. Unfortunately, it just takes someone with some vision and quite frankly the funds to be able to make it happen. Another of the highlights that we have here in Clifton Forge is the C&O Railway Heritage Center. This is definitely, actually let's go ahead and do this, look. I gotta stop for 1 second and say this is a very common scene here in Clifton Forge. The sound of the rail cars heading in and out, hauling coal, hauling fuel, hauling logs, whatever they happen to be coming through here with. This is the sound of our town and the sound of what built this town as to be what it is. Though it is not the primary mover and shaker anymore that it was, it is definitely still a part of the fabric of Clifton Forge. This is what we like to bring people in to learn about and embrace, and we definitely want to continue to make this a part of our history here in Clifton Forge. I'm standing in the historic Masonic Theater here in Clifton Forge. As I lovingly call it, it's the crown jewel. It really is the centerpiece of the artistic and creative community here, and it has made a massive transformation in the last decade through the passion of volunteers and the dedication of so many here. The Masonic Theater was given a top to bottom renovation, well extending over $6 million, and completed in 2016 to bring it back to its original state, originally what it looked like when it was built here in 1905. Though I'm standing here in the auditorium space at the theater, which you would logically think would be the space to be, the theater itself actually encompasses 4 floors and provides not only theater space, but meeting rooms, places for receptions and gatherings, as well as a small underground space for small, more intimate viewing and shows and things like that. So it's a very versatile building here in our town, and like I said, the crown jewel, but really the heart of the community. As I wander around town, I often will come to this bridge here, and if you look into the back, you can see the clock tower of our town hall. So just for reference points, you can see I'm off of Main Street by a block or two. And as I come down this, I wanted to show you this bridge because it was built in conjunction with the architecture school at Virginia Tech, a university just a few hours away, with the architecture students, and designed as just what it is, a bridge from our downtown business districts up towards the residential areas of Clifton Forge. As you can see here, this is Smith Creek, and that's one of the few creeks that actually runs from the mountains behind us down through town, and in a kind of a neat architectural feature to this town, runs underneath our actual downtown area. Many of the downtown buildings are up on stilts and actually have rivers and creeks running under them down towards the Jackson. So just another neat architectural feature of Clifton Forge. It's not like any other small town. As you take a look from the river and cross the park back towards the residential area of town, we have the Clifton Forge School of the Arts. This school was transformed from a tire warehouse, less than a decade ago, and is now a prominent feature in the arts and development of the arts here in Clifton Forge. You can come in and take a guitar class, you can learn about blacksmithing, you can learn about fused glass, or buy your local paint, your painting and art supplies in there. It is really a multifaceted building and facility that encompasses all different areas of the arts. The 174-acre district includes a rich and diverse collection of late 19th and early 20th century residential, civic, and religious architecture that fully conveys the setting and feeling of a railroad town. The district includes styles that range from worker housing to high-end Gothic and Colonial Revival and Queen Anne styles. Clifton Forge abounds with Sears homes. Sears modern homes were catalog and kit houses sold primarily through the mail order by the Sears and Roebuck Company, an American retailer. Sears reported that more than 70,000 of these homes were sold in North America between 1908 and 1940. These historic Sears homes were ordered and then ultimately shipped and arrived via train in Clifton Forge. As you've more than seen in these last few minutes, Clifton Forge is rich in history. And moving forward, we hope to keep that going with a connection to HGTV. We'd love to have you be a part of the fabric of the town of Clifton Forge as we move forward into the future. As we're closing out our video here, we sure hope we've shown you enough to make Clifton Forge a viable option for a hometown takeover with HGTV. And who knows, if things move forward and you guys weave your way into the fabric, the history of this great town, being the brewery owner, we may just name a beer after you. Cheers, y'all. See you in Clifton Forge.
50 times in there, but I also mentioned things like volunteer, community, businesses, downtowns, revitalization, things like that. And I think it's important to ride on the coattails and the energy that that has brought to the downtown area and continue to point out once again how lucky we are to have so many volunteers here in Clifton Forge that have really been the catalyst of the change, along with town management and councils in the last decade. And I would hope that this is just another step forward and that we can work together with you to make another step as a new town leadership comes in, councils change and rotate, but we continue on that momentum that, quite frankly, has been on the backs of a lot of volunteers here in town. And that when it comes to that as you move forward and make the decisions that affect our lives directly as business owners and volunteers and citizens of this community, that you keep in mind the hours and days and time that has been spent to take the town to where it is now versus where it was 10 years ago, and to make decisions for future leadership that embrace small business, the arts, things that are important to the community and that the community has shown you is what is important to them. Revitalization, housing, jobs, all that stuff. So I hope that you'll keep in mind things that were mentioned in that video and the passion and the time spent so that we can work together with you out there volunteering and committing to another prosperous 10 years, 20 or 30 in the future in Clifton Forge. So thank you. We appreciate all your service.